What's up everyone, back with another video today. Today we're going to be discussing the Toor Shifter, a relatively new blade from Toor, kind of part of their new push into the everyday carry fixed blade market. Just smaller, less tactical, less chunky fixed blades that can be used for a variety of different things versus their heavy duty tactical lines that they have been making for a very long time now. So pick this up at Blade Show. We'll run through a few different size comparisons to some other knives here, and then I will give my thoughts on it after that. So get right into it. One of the main concerns before I actually purchased this knife was the size of it. I was concerned that I would not be able to fit a full grip on the handle just because it looks really small, especially in pictures online. Here we have it next to an SE Azula 2 and an SE Zancudo, two of my previous small-ish fixed blades, and these have kind of taken a back seat recently to the other Toor that I've got, the Toor Revith, which is in that size range. We'll save that for another video, but as you can see, smaller blade than both of these two knives, similar size in the handle, and definitely a different blade shape with that similar blade shape, that little curve up. And you'll see it still stays thick behind the blade there. So the tip, you don't really have to worry about that breaking off. I pried a few things open with it. We'll put it next to a bug out here. We'll do a paramilitary 2. Just some of the usual common stuff that a lot of knife people talk about online. We'll do a buck 110 and a case trapper for those that have case trappers or are big fans of case like myself. There you see it right there. We'll do the CRKT Minimalist, another very common everyday carry fixed blade, one that I used to carry myself for a very long time. You'll see it's a little bit bigger than that in several different ways, especially on the thickness side of things. Great knife, by the way, though, the Minimalist. It's like 30 bucks. It's awesome. We'll do the Hera 2 Mini just because I have it laying here. We'll do the Spyderco Native 5. And we'll finish off with, let's do a Microtech, MSI, and Ultratech, two also real popular Microtechs. And a lot of Toor people are also Microtech people as well. So there you have it. Pretty on the small side, obviously, but what is nice is the size of the handle relative to the blade. You can get a very nice full grip on here. It's got nice contoured Toor grips. Their G10 is phenomenal, the way that they put their patterns on there. And again, still plenty of room on that blade to have a full grip versus something like the Minimalist, where it's only designed for you to get 3 fingers plus this little lanyard on the end here. So I really, really appreciated that. The one thing that was holding me back, like I mentioned before, was the fear of only being able to get 3 fingers on here. Because if you look at some of the pictures online, it is a little bit deceiving, especially lined up next to a lot of Toor's other big stuff. So if you're just comparing against like the Mullet here and the Egress, it's obviously significantly smaller, not only from a length perspective, but it's just, you know, it can't really compete in terms of that width. These are chunky knives with really thick blades, and you know, they're meant to be used to do all kinds of stuff, to get beat up real bad and to pry, and you know, they're just a lot larger for different purposes. This is more of your just generic use. I try to refrain from using the term everyday carry because I feel like that has a lot of connotations with it, but it would fall into your everyday carry category, for lack of a better term. And it is really, 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 really good at doing pretty much anything that you want that you don't need a big, thick blade for. I have slowly become, again, after carrying the CRKT Minimalist, faded away from being a fixed blade carrier in the pocket most days. This knife has brought me back to that quite a bit, just because it's so easy. The sheath has a very slim profile. You don't have a lot of extra stuff going on the sheath. It just fits to the blade. It clicks in really nice. There's zero wiggle at all. and you can get a nice ulti-clip to put on it. I actually have just been slipping this in my pocket, to be honest with you, and I haven't been using a clip, and it's worked fine for me. I really, really, really like this thing. It's been phenomenal. It cuts very well. It's much more thin than a lot of other Toor blades are. Again, if I pull out the mullet here, you can kind of tell just how much more thin it is. And the mullet's not particularly a thick fixed blade. You have like a strong arm here to kind of compare it to. Strong arm is a little bit stocky, but it's nothing really crazy compared to a lot of heavy duty fixed blades. Like you have your SE stuff that's pretty thick, but this shifter is awesome. I mean, it's thin, it's M4 steel, so you have CPM M4 steel on there. It's heat treated well because it's durable, it holds up. I was very worried also, again, I mentioned this before, about the tip breaking off. You know, Spyderco tends to have some very narrow tips as well, and they lose their thickness behind the blade. This Toor one, you'll see it's fat again all the way through, and then it kind of tapers off into the tip. So that seems to work very, very well for the strength of the blade. And you know, if you're looking for something that is not necessarily going to be like a huge outdoorsy knife, but more of just a generic cutting open boxes, cutting open anything that you have around you laying around, prying open little things. I've pried up staples with this. I've cut a bunch of stuff, just, you know, plants out in the yard. Not necessarily like heavy duty yard work, but just more of the light stuff that I'd be using, like a bug out for or something like that. Very similar in size handle to the bug out, but obviously a much shorter blade. So you are sacrificing a little bit of that, but because it's a fixed blade, that does work out very, very well. It can't, you know, fold up into your pocket. So having that shorter blade does make it a lot more concealable, convenient to carry, and just take up a lot less space in your pocket. So I absolutely love this thing, and it's very obvious and apparent that a lot of other people do, because these things fly off the shelves no matter where they are. They're tough to get on Blade HQ. They're tough to get on Toor's website. I was fortunate enough, again, to pick this up at Blade Show. So shout out to the guys at Toor. They're awesome. Glad they had an extra one at Blade Show that I bought, and I will continue to just rave about this company until I have a negative experience with any one of their products. But so far, as you can tell, if you've been staying up to date with the channel for the past couple of months, I really have fallen in love with Toor. I have nothing but good things to say about them. They're a great company, so definitely worth checking out. I think these retail for $275, so a little bit on the steeper side, but lifetime warranty, and they'll fix it up for you. And it very clearly, you can barely tell this thing has been used. It's been probably close to a month now, maybe not quite a month since Blade Show, so we'll call it 3-ish weeks. And I've been using almost primarily this over that time, and it looks as good as new. So if you're worried about that, don't. It came razor sharp, which is fantastic. Strop it up a little bit, and it will very easily shave the hairs off your arm, which is really, really nice as well. So great stuff as always from the guys at Toor. Thanks to them for letting me check this out. And I'm glad that they had an extra one, like I mentioned before. I appreciate you watching to the end. Let me know your thoughts on Toor as a company. If you're interested in their products, let me know. I'm happy to show more. I'm always eager to talk about their knives. I think they make some incredible, incredible, incredible fixed blades. I also have 1 or 2 of their folders that I love. So can never talk too much about Toor. That's my go-to brand at the moment over even Microtech and Spyderco. So really excited as always to talk about their stuff. Great product right here, the shifter. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.